Hello everyone and welcome back to our channel Biodiversity and Conservation, and I'm Subbalakshmi Raut from Ambika Prasad Research Foundation India, and we are continuing our UGC NET examination series for environmental science subject, and this is 33rd part of unit 3 environmental biology, and today we are going to discuss about population interactions. So the populations that we study, they do not exist in the nature alone, and they are found in the presence of many potential competitors, predators, and mutualists. Generally, a number of different species exert a direct or indirect effect on a particular individual because of vital processes such as growth, nutrition, and reproduction, which depend upon coactions and interactions with other members of the same or other species. And the influence of living organisms is said to be biotic factors, and a biotic factor hence is any living component in an ecosystem that affects other organisms. So the various factors or mechanisms for these biotic influences are quite different from the way in which abiotic factors affect the size of populations. And the biotic factors generally tend to regulate the size of the populations more intensely and can occur at two different levels, like interspecific interaction or intraspecific interaction. So interspecific interactions are the direct interactions, interspecific interactions are the direct interactions between species, and the intraspecific interactions represent the interactions of individuals within a single species. It means interspecific interaction involve interactions between two different species, and intraspecific interactions, they involve only one type of species, the single species. So those interactions are called intraspecific interactions. And today we will focus mainly and more importantly on intraspecific interactions. So they are the relationships among the individuals of the same species, and it is only under extremely rare and unusual circumstances that an individual is the only representative of the species um, existing in a given area. For most part of its life, it is constantly in interaction with the members of the same species. Such interactions between the members of the same species may manifest in the form of mating behavior, family formation, group formation, altruism, dominant subordinate relationship, some other type of communication. So, here are some of the main intraspecific interactions like colonization, aggregation, dominance, leadership, territoriality, communication, and cannibalism. We will study one by one. First one is colonization. Here, mm, we will study about how colonies were formed in the early um, evolution. So, an early manifestation of intraspecific cooperation in the evolution of animals is the grouping of free living protozoans to form colonies, and the further development of such colonies into multicellular metazoans that thereafter behave and respond as unit organisms. And various sessile means those are stuck to the substratum, or those cannot move. So the various sessile metazoan animals frequently occur in colonies, often with with structural connections between the different members of the colony. And such colonial forms include many coelentrates, like Obelia, Physalia, Porpita, Mellifera, Tubipora, Gorgonia, Corallium, etc. So they form many colonial hydroids, and they show polymorphism and the division of labor, um, called zooids or polyps. So, like Physalia is a free-floating colony of polyps or zooids specialized in four major polyp types, like dermatophores for floating, gastrozoids for feeding, dactyl zooids for defense, and gonozoid for reproduction. So, such specialization of polyps is called polymorphism, and then the next um, is aggregation. The term aggregation actually refers to the habitual occurrence of individuals of a species in large groups for various purposes. Many animals live in groups. Some animal aggregation are temporary and others are more or less permanent. So, there are two types of aggregation, temporary and permanent. Temporary aggregations are applied to a group of animals that come together for some external reason. Many such associations of individuals appear to be result of random groupings or unconscious cooperation that provides some survival advantage to the group. Such association may be sexually gregarious, combining individuals without respect to age or sex, or maybe sexually gregarious, often bringing together males and females during the breeding season for mating purposes. And permanent aggregations are um, actually applied to the group of individuals belonging to the same species and organized in a cooperative manner. And a society thus is a highly organized group of individuals of the same species in which individuals are interdependent and live together for mutual benefits. In social organization, success is often measured in terms of survival of the colony, with individual survival having only secondary importance. And society has some characteristics like societies are highly organized, complex, and integrated. They possess a complex system of communication. They exhibit division of labor and caste system based on specialization. All members of a society exist the tendency of the members to remain together, and members of a society show a permanence of individual composition, and the animal societies show a tendency to be um, impermeable to the species or the factors that are not members of the same group. Now, there are some advantages for aggregation, like protection, building of complex structures for shelter, and facility in sexual reproduction, transfer of learning, aid in food gathering, and some specialization that make them establish their societies. Next one is dominance hierarchies. Um, Most social animals recognize the pattern of authority or dominance, subordination, the relation of the stronger to the weaker, and here um, the essential feature of dominance is that there is some source that is of limited availability and is contested. One animal has gained access to the limited resource relative to other animal. Such a behavior pattern is simply adaptive, ensuring that the strongest will be best fed and so remain strong and successfully reproduce, while the weaker are less likely to survive. One of the main advantages derived from such relationship is that it establishes some order and discipline within the group and saves a lot of time and energy from unnecessary fights. So they have to establish their rank. The ranking of individuals or dominance in a social group is established by a series of battles ranging from mock show to serious fights. And ranking is established by aggressive behavior, sex, age, and tradition. And we will move forward to our next topic, that is leadership. It is a cooperative interaction among the individuals of a group in which one behaves as a leader. The leader keeps the other members of the group together when they are on the move, and the leader does not enjoy any special social benefit, and there is no mutual dependence of leader and other members of the group. And leadership can be of two types in the social animals, like matriarchal leadership or patriarchal leadership or group. Here in the matriarchal group, the leader of the group is a female. For example, in red deer, African elephant, there the female is the leader. And in case of patriarchal group, the leader of the group is male, as in kangaroos, hippopotamus, zebras, antelopes, and monkeys. So, what is the significance of leadership? In leadership behavior, leader keeps the members of the group together when they are on move. They This behavior is beneficial for the group and the individuals, essentially in times of emergency. And it is common in mammals, but it is also found in lizards, birds, fishes, and arthropods also. Next, we will discuss on territoriality. Here, many species of animals establish ownership and defend specific areas of land called territories. The territories are used exclusively by an individual, a pair, a family, or a small inbred group of individuals. Um, Territories range in size from a few millimeters that separate adjacent barnacles on a rock to um, the distance of several kilometers that separate neighboring herds of um, African buffaloes. Um, Within their own territories, animals typically acquire a heightened position of dominance in relation to the other members of the same species. There are some forms of territoriality, according to Wilson. He recognized five forms of territorial organization. Type A, it is a large defended area within which sheltering, courtship, mating, nesting, and most food gathering occur. Example in case of benthic fishes, insectivorous birds, some small animals, mammals mainly. Type B, a large defended area within which all breeding activities take place, but it is not a site for most food gathering, like in case of nightjars. Type C, a small defined or defended area around a nest, in case of some colonial birds like ibises and herons. Type D, pairing or mating territories. Um, for example, in case of damselflies and dragonflies. And type E, roosting positions and shelters. Many species of bats, starlings, domestic pigeon are included in type E. Next one, we will discuss about communication. Communication means transmission and exchange of information among the members of a species. It involves sending and receiving specific meaningful signals and is said to have occurred when an animal performs an act that alters the behavior of another organism. Such interactions are often quite specialized and usually are adaptive for one or both organisms. The accurate transmission and reception of social signals can mean life or death to an organism or its life form, um, or its offspring also. There are some modes of communication, like chemical signals. Chemicals are released by an animal into the environment to evoke a certain behavior in other members of the species, and they are called pheromones. The pheromones are detected by smell or taste, via foraging, like foraging ants leave a trail substance along their path so that the other workers of the colony may find their way to the food and back home after gathering the food. Um, in case of silk moth, the female silk moth secretes a um, sex attractant, which attracts the male moths from several kilometers downwind. The queen bee secretes anti-queen substance which checks the workers from building royal cells for new queens. And some musk or other odorous substances are produced by mammals that are used to mark territories or to identify the members of a herd or as sex attractants during breeding seasons. Next type of or mode of communication is tactile signals. When a sender of signals is in contact with a receiver, a variety of messages can be communicated by varying the frequency, pressure, and duration of contact. Tactile communication is common in courtship and mating behavior. And next one is visual signals. Specific structures indicate the sex of the individual. Example, mane in lion, white rump of antelope, brilliant plumage in peafowl and pheasant. Firefly emits light to attract mate. Some animals feign death as protection from enemy. Honeybees perform dance movements to indicate the direction and distance of the food source. A dog expresses a threat by baring its teeth and raising the fur on the back. These are all visual signals. Next is auditory signals. Many animals make mating calls. Male crickets produce chirping sound by rubbing their forewings. Male cicada produces a characteristic loud sound with its special vibrating plates. Male frogs produce loud croaks with vocal sacs, and the birds and mammals, beside mating calls, also produce sounds to express distress, hunger, threat, mating desire, and anger. And the male red deer produces a roaring sound to win the female from other deer. And the last mode of communication is electric signals. Many fishes, such as electric eel and electric ray, have electric organs which produce electrical discharges to ward off its predators and to stun its prey. The electric organs of these fishes are of survival value to them. And our last slide of intraspecific interactions is cannibalism. Cannibalism is an intraspecific interaction in which the larger members eat up the smaller ones of their own species. An individual that eats it is known as cannibal, and the one eaten as a prey. Some examples of cannibalism is common in insects such as cockroaches, ants, um, termites. It is also noticed in frogs, cobras, and scorpions. Female spider eats up the male after mating. So, what are the advantage of this cannibalism behavior? Biochemically, cannibalism is an excellent process. A cannibal obtains proteins similar to those of its own kind from the prey, and some animals limit their population by cannibalism. And floor beetles and guppy fish will eat up their eggs if they find them. So, this is all from me today. Thank you.